Going there. So here is what I am saying to you, Sami. It is just as easy to damage fix, if not easier, than it is to speed fix. And I know what you're saying. No way, man. Speed fixing is so much easier. You got all these different sources, all these different things. Damage fixing is definitely the harder thing. There is no way you can change my mind with science or technology or engineering and math to win me over to this side of the debate. Speed fixing is easier, it's cheaper SP wise, there's no way you can damage fix. Alright, Sami is awake, it's time to head out to the world map. We are going to travel. But where are we going to travel to? We're going to travel to the land of wonder. The land of great expectations. The land of damage. So how can we deal more damage? It must be difficult to deal more damage. First, we're going to break down common, more or less double standards or things people kind of ignore when damage versus speed fixing. So first, let's just go to like a paralog. It doesn't really matter. Let's go to a place. Actually, let's do Leaf because it's going to change my deploy slot. So let's go to Leaf's paralog. Leave it to him. Leaf it to him. So how, first of all, what is speed fixing and what is damage fixing? And why is damage fixing actually easier than speed fixing? So speed fixing is when a unit is not doubling or is not fast enough. So you give them speed plus as a passive, speed taker, Lynn, Byleth, Marth, Lucina, anything that gives speed plus or any passive that gives speed plus. In some cases, people use tonics, like a speed plus tonic. In some cases, people use meals to give speed from a meal. And of course, in some cases, people do a dragon or covert Byleth instruct or dance to boost speed by 3 or 5. All right, so first let's fight. So what the hell are we looking at here? We're looking at a team. Great. But how can I prove damage is easier to fix? All right, first of all, I'm about to blow your mind. All right. Very simply, can you stand next to a unit and at all times they give you +3 speed? You can't. But there is a unit that exists called Alir. And Alir constantly vomits out +3 damage to any adjacent. So already, before I've even gone into passives, tonics, and other ways to improve damage, this already is the most free and easy mechanic to take advantage of, that in every single one of your playthroughs, it's extremely easy to pull off, and it's consistently one of the easiest, cheapest, freest sources of damage increase, and it's +3. So already, damage is easier to fix just because of one passive. Alright, well I know what you're thinking. Okay, well that's just Alir. Well, it's not, because there's also another thing. Spur attack. So that's +3 damage, true damage too, and you also take 1 less damage. And then also, spur attack is +2 more. And if you put both of these, if you put the spur attack ring on Alir, that's +5 damage from just standing next to a unit. Is that hard to do? Not really. Alir can be made to be unhittable. Alir can be made into a combat unit that's very durable. Alir can just be positioned well. There's so many ways to take advantage of this. And just by simply being adjacent to something, you absorb damage. Or I'm sorry, you gain higher damage. You do actually absorb a little bit of damage. Veil also gives you +1 damage. So the total you could do is +6 damage by standing next to a spur attack, Veil, or Alir, and then also standing next to the other one at the same time. So right out of the gate, we're going the passive way. Passives, there are passives that improve other things' damage. There is no such passive that improves speed. So already, it's way easier to fix damage in this way. Now I know what you're thinking. Okay, great, but what about like, you know, there's like the covert boost, very common thing. Well, Dragon Boost boosts everything. So let's take, people love Tamara, right? let's take, you know, let's do Tamara and Marin. Okay, so 25 physical attack, 38 physical attack, great. So you do this, you instruct all, which improves everything. This is better than just speed boosting, by the way, because it improves everything, and that is better. So now she's 41, she's 28, and then they're also both +3 from standing next to Alir. So you can boost both simultaneously. I would argue Dragon Boost is generally better. +5 speed is decent, it's only +2 more. But if you're boosting with a dragon, you're also boosting damage. So it simultaneously boosts both. All right. Okay, what else? What about emblem rings? What about passives? We have to address that, right? So passives. Passives is probably the only argument to really make the case that damage fixing is more expensive than speed, because generally the passives people run to damage fix are quite expensive. But I do have a kind of counter argument against that, and it's not too difficult. So let's go back to Somniel. So just I know that passive blows your mind, right? There is no passive that fixes damage or that fixes speed that you can just stand next to someone and always is active. That doesn't exist. But in terms of damage passives, speed +5 is 2k SP, and gentility is 2k SP. Gentility gives you damage +3, but also damage -3 if the Erica unit is engaged, and you can switch in between modes. And most players can keep an Erica unit engaged at least 70 to 80% of the time. So for 2k SP, you can get +5 speed or +3 damage. So that's really not that big of a difference. It's a difference of 2. So it is more to fix damage through SP, but through other means, you can easily stack damage. Now, there's another mechanic in the game that fixes damage, and that is called backups, chain attacks. So chain attacks occur when a backup unit can be next to or within range if it's at 2 range, or 3 range if it's on warrior, or 4 range if you're abusing the game to get Claude's Ring, to hit the enemy, but it'll just act as like a bonus attack that does 10% of max HP. So by virtue of existing, every single backup unit on your team, when adjacent to enemies or within range based on their weapon, can boost the damage of all your other units. And there's also an archetype. As you can see, I'm building this. I'm getting her Dual Assist Plus for free, and then she's switching this ring over to someone else. Dual Assist, Brave Assist. This is a unit archetype that literally does nothing but boost the damage of your entire team. You get to 70% trigger rates on Dual Assist Plus, and with Brave Assist, you perform 2 chain attacks, and as long as the unit can run to the enemy and reach them, it can proc, so pretty far away. So this, you run 2 of these, and your entire team, on average, deals more damage. There is no such thing like this for speed. So you have chain attacks, you have Brave Assist, you have Dual Assist, you have standing next to Alir, you have standing next to Veil, you have standing next to literally any unit with Spur Attack to fix damage. All the usual suspects of speed boosting, whether it be Byleth Dance, tonics cost exactly the same. Speed plus tonic costs exact same as the strength and magic tonic. Those are exactly the same cost. In terms of emblems, so there's Lyn. Lyn seriously fixes speed and basically doesn't help damage at all. But Erica basically does the exact same thing. Erica seriously fixes damage, but doesn't really fix much else. And also, if you're a magical unit, you get more damage. But Erica fixes damage similar to how Lyn fixes speed. And funny enough, Erica's gentility is pretty much the go-to for scaling damage now on most builds and most units, because it also reduces damage. So it does 2 things. It increases tanking and damage. So if we're going by raw stats, getting defense res +3 and also getting magic strength +3 is +6 total. Like if you're just using, one of those stats or both of those stats. So effectively, you could even make the argument that gentility is bigger value than speed +5, because getting defense res +3, that's 2 separate skills. Each one of those would take up a skill slot. It basically compresses a bar. You get defense res. It also reduces like engage damage. So gentility is way bigger value than speed +5 in terms of tanking anything, including like lodestar rushes from bosses and stuff like this. And it also scales damage on literally every weapon type in the entire game, and it works on player and enemy phase. So I don't even think the SP argument holds up. The only time it does is if we're comparing speed +5 to like lance, sword, axe power. Because if you want to run those are expensive. And that's really it. But you could get away with running gentility plus, and you take 5 less damage and deal 5 more damage, and you could easily use like a quad weapon or just keep dancing your Erica unit to keep its engage up and just maintain blue skies at all times, or at almost like 100% uptime. So I don't even think the SP argument holds up anymore. So the tonic argument is nonsensical. The meal argument is largely nonsensical because you can target meals for damage as well as speed, or both. There are some meals that target both. SP argument is shaky at best because gentility has largely been discovered by most of the player base, and I would say it's higher value. Speed plus 5 is cheap and easy to get, but that's really the only argument. Comparing it to more expensive things like lance, sword, and axe power, but I would say gentility is generally better than those, honestly. Like, I'm actually probably going to stop running those and just favor gentility, because plus 5 damage is usually enough to push a unit into killing thresholds if they're just a little bit shy. So the SP argument's really the only kind of smoking gun, but it's situational at best. As for damage fixing, Byleth, there's also backup, strength plus 4. It's 1 less than speed plus 5, but the Dragon Instruct hits everything, and it's just better. Like, why would you not run Dragon Instruct? It's a no-brainer, to be honest. It's like almost like running Draconic Hex. That's another thing too, Draconic Hexing things. What does that do? That also increases damage you can deal to bosses. Typically, you can hex bosses, but there is no mechanic to stand next to a unit to gain speed. There is no mechanic that a random unit nearby will have a 70% chance to give you more speed. But that exists, you know, through dual assist bots. Just having backups next to a thing boosts your damage. It's easier to damage fix than it is to speed fix. Objectively. The only case this isn't true is when we're comparing axe power and sword power and lance power to speed plus. That's it. In terms of emblem rings, Corrin gives you damage on magic. Erica gives you a ton of damage. Lucina gives you mostly speed. Sigurd gives you build, which kind of fixes speed, but also gives you momentum, which gives you damage. You could also get override, which can hit AoE, which can be a damage increase. You can improve strength. He also gives you Great Aether. So there are units who can Great Aether in 1 round with that. Just completely kill a group of enemies. Byleth itself also gives magic and speeds. It's kind of like a hybrid. Marth is almost like a pure damage emblem. Leaf is mostly like utility, but it's like some build. So like there's kind of almost like an even amount of like things that improve damage, like stat-wise on emblems, on engage rings rather, and things that improve like speed or build or something like that. So I just don't buy into this meme that speed is easier to fix, because some people will act like giving a unit plus 20 speed is easy, but then giving a unit plus 20 damage is hard. Well, it's like, well, do you have Gold Mary with Dual Assist Plus? Because that usually is plus 10 damage right there. And depending on how much health the enemy has, it's 10% of their max. So if an enemy has 70 health, which some of these endgame enemies do, and both her chain attacks hit, that's 14 damage before you've stood next to a Leer. And then if you stand next to a Leer and you double, that's 6 more damage. That's 20 damage right there. Not that hard to pull off. Pretty brain dead, pretty easy to do. Meanwhile, getting speed plus 20 is a very big number. Like, you have to do a lot to do that, versus just standing next to a thing and having another thing deployed on the field. I'm just not a fan of like some of these like accepted memes in the community where it's like, oh yeah, just do this and it just always works all the time. It's like, no, like, speed is not easier to fix than damage. There is no speed attack. There is a chain attack, though. There's no speed attack. All right, that's it for this one. I want to debunk this. This is also kind of a half not serious video, but it is also serious because standing next to a dude to get free damage is kind of no-brainer. And for some reason, people view it as this like thing like you're cheating or something. It's like, how dare you take advantage of your positioning to get the damage increase by using a Leer as an asset? It's like, why would you not do that? In what world do you not do that? Like, when I did challenge runs in 3 houses, I stood next to Byleth all the time. It's 20% more EXP, dude. 20%. That's free level ups, my guy. All right. All right, that's it for this one. Peace.